Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about a gait. It's a new topic. So the word gait means a normal human locomotion or a human ambulation is named as or it's termed as a gait. So gait is a complex phenomena which we are undertaking unconsciously or with the dynamic needs of our daily lives. So, as I said, it's a normal ambulation. So, we will be walking each and every day. So, the normal walking style is what we call as a gait. So, to define the gait, we can define the gait as a human locomotion uh, or a functions of joint or a particular function of joint and muscles in an integrated manner both to maintain an upright posture and to produce motion of a body as a whole. So that's how we can define the gait. So the gait should be a integratedly produce movement of both joints and muscles in order to maintain normal dynamic posture and to help to movement or mobility of the particular person. So that's what we can call as a gait. So if there is any abnormality in this dynamic posture or if there is any abnormality in this dynamic posture, we can call it as an abnormal gait or a pathological gait. So basically gait means it's a normal locomotion of body parts in a dynamic manner. So we will be having many needs in our daily lives. So among those needs, there is a high necessity to have a proper walking style or a running style. So that proper walking style is what we call as a gait or an ideal walking style is what we call as a gait. So human locomotion or gait may be described as a translatory progression of human body as a whole produced by coordinated rotatory movements of body segments. So as I said earlier, human locomotion. Basically, the gait can be described as translatory progression of body as a whole produced by coordinated rotatory movements of body segments. So it's a we have to move our body forward. It should be in a coordinated manner of all the parts in the human body. That's what we call as a gait. The alternative movements of the lower is extremities essentially support and carry along the head, arms, and trunk. So whenever we try to walk, our lower extremities will be moving alternatively. So according to the alternative movements of lower limb, our head, arms, and trunk has to be carried along with this lower extremity alternative movements. The head, arm, and trunk constitute about 75% of total body weight, with the head and arms contributing about 25% of total body weight and the trunk contributing to remaining 50%. So this whole huge amount of body weight has to be well supported in the moving lower limb and it should move in a coordinated way to achieve a proper gait pattern. So if there is any abnormality with this weight distribution to both the legs or if there is any forces which can alter the normal coordinated movement of lower limb to the head, arm and trunk, the normal gait can be changed or disturbed. Why we need to have this gait? What are the fundamental purpose of gait? First one is maintenance of support of head, arm and trunk, that is preventing collapse of lower limb. So whenever we stand straight, the whole upper body weight is well supported in our lower limb. So that's an ideal standing posture. As like that, whenever we try to move, whenever we try to walk, the whole upper body's movement upper body weight has to be well supported in the moving lower limb. So that's one of the main purpose of the gait. So if you have a proper support or a proper maintenance of this whole upper body weight on moving lower limb, the collapse of person can be prevented. If there is no well support to the upper body weight on lower limb, the person can easily go for collapse. The person won't be able to walk furthermore. Second one is maintenance of upright posture and balance of the body. So second one is we have to maintain our normal posture and balance of the body. So is gait is ideally designed to maintain this upright posture in a dynamic platform and also to maintain the particular balance in a dynamic platform. So when we discussed about posture, we have discussed something called as a dynamic posture. So dynamic posture is a kind of posture which always have some amount of movements, or it is an alternating posture. So in that alternative posture or in the dynamic posture, the gait is the one which is supposed to maintain that normal upright posture and also to maintain that balance of whole upper body and to prevent fall or any risk of injuries. Third one, control of foot trajectory to achieve safe ground clearance and a gentle heel or toe landing. So this is the third purpose of gait. So whenever we initiate our normal walking, first thing we are taking is our foot, and we will take our foot forward to have a better surface and to have a better landing of our toe. So the one of the fundamental purpose of gait is to have a controlled foot trajectory. That means whenever we try to step forward, the foot has to be controlled in a manner, or the forces which initiating that stepping process has to control in a manner where we can have a proper clearance of the land, or where we can have a proper landing of the foot. So that's the third purpose of gait. Fourth one is generation of mechanical energy to maintain the present forward velocity or to increase the forward velocity. So that's the fourth one. The gait has to initiate some kind of energy forces to maintain this normal gait pattern, or the gait has to diminish some amount of mechanical energies which is produced by either the flexor group of muscles or the extensor group of muscles in order to have a proper gait. So one example is for this fourth point is that the initiation of gait, that means the first phase in the gait is started with the initiation of tibialis anterior muscle. So the foot has to go for dorsiflexion in order to begin with the step-in process. At the same time, the gastrocnemius has to go for inhibition or to reduce the forces in order to maintain that normal dorsiflex foot and to have a normal step-in process. So that's about the generation of mechanical forces and inhibition of some forces in order to maintain a good forward velocity or a good forward step-in process. And fifth one is absorption of mechanical energy for shock absorption and stability, or to decrease the forward velocity of the body. And the next point is that there are many forces in our body, which either by the ground reaction forces or by the gravity or by the internal forces, maybe by the ligaments, bones, or by the muscles. There are some forces which need to be absorbed in order to maintain that normal stability and to have a proper landing phase, or there has to be some forces which need to decrease in order to maintain a forward velocity of the body. So if there is an excessive amount of forces, or if there is an excessive muscular activity to some of muscle groups, it can produce a huge amount of forward velocity of the body. So if there is a huge amount of forward velocity, that means if our body parts are moving far more than what what is necessary, the body part can go for collapse or the normal gait pattern can be disturbed. So that has to be minimized by the proper gait process. So there has to be some absorption of mechanical energy in order for shock absorption and stability, and also there has to some we have to absorb some of the mechanical energy in order to decrease the forward velocity of body. So we only need the required amount of body forces or the forward velocity, and that has to be equalized by absorption of mechanical energy. So those are the purpose of gait. And one important thing which we need to remember in this, maintaining balance and stability is clearly important during ambulation, and there is an increasing there are some multiple tasks which we can encounter in our daily life. So whenever we work, we cannot hypothesize that there are going to be only the flat surface. There can be some stairs, there can be some turnovers in our normal walking state, there can be some uneven surfaces, there can be some obstacles. So one of the all these purpose has to fit for those conditions also. So whenever we try for climbing the stairs, the gait has to be adjusting by minimizing its force or by augmenting its force to maintain that normal particular posture to maintain that particular gait pattern. At the same time, if it is necessary, we have to reducing some of our body functions to prevent the collapse of body in some uneven surfaces or the cross linking or any turnovers which we face in our gait process. Next is gait initiation. How this gait is initiated. As we all know, it is a kind of involuntary function which is happening in our body. So if we want to walk, we are continuously walking without even a proper consciousness how we are walking. So now we are going to looking into how this gait is initiated, or what is the initial stage which is occurring in a gait phase. So as I said earlier, gait is a complete cycle of a walking pattern. So this walking pattern has an initiation. So now we are going to looking into how the gait is initiated. So it is a stereotype activity. So that means it's happening without even our conscious thing. It's a stereotype activity. It's it it is as it is. We are not able to change anything from that. It is happening as how it was happened in all those human histories. So the gait initiation begins in erect standing posture with an activation of tibialis anterior and vastus lateralis muscle with the inhibition of gastrocnemius muscle. So this is the first activity which is happening in the gait process. So the if a person is standing and if the person is initiating the gait process, so the initiation of gating process is mainly done by tibialis anterior and vastus lateralis activation. At the same time, the posterior compartment muscle, the gastrocnemius, has to go for inhibition or to reduce activity in order to have a proper initiation of gait. Bilateral concentric contractions of tibialis anterior muscles resulting in sagittal plane torque that inclines the body anteriorly from the angle. So as we all know, the orientation of tibialis anterior muscles is in front of the leg and in front of the ankle joint. So if the tibialis anterior muscle is activating, the body can have some forward inclination, or there are some sagittal torque that can incline the body to anteriorly, or it can make the body to move anteriorly with the tibialis anterior muscle. So it's mainly because the orientation of tibialis muscle is mainly in front of the leg region and in front of the ankle region. So if the tibialis anterior muscles are working, it can produce an anterior inclination of whole human body. The gait initiation activity ends when either the stepping or swing extremity lift off the ground, or when the heel strike the ground. The total duration of gait initiation is about 0.64 seconds. So the initiation is mainly by how we are initiating this gait process. So this initiation of gait process, initiation of gait is mainly done by tibialis anterior contraction. So whenever this tibialis anterior contraction, it will produce a anterior inclination force. So this anterior inclination, after this initiation of after the initiation of gait cycle, it will take almost about 0.64 seconds to start with the gait cycle. That means the first phase in the gait cycle is the foot strike. That means we are striking our foot to the ground. So from the initiation to the foot strike, it will take almost about 0.64 seconds to initiate this gait process. So next we are going to looking into what are the phases in the gait cycle. So as we said, gait cycle is a complete walking pattern. So in order to understand this gait in detail, we have divided the gait into two phases. First one is stance phase and second one is swing phase. So as it name suggests, stance phase means our foot has some contact with the ground. So all the sub phases which are coming in the stand phases, all the surfaces which are coming under the stand phases has some contact of the foot and ground. But in swing phase, as it name says, swing phase, the foot is swinging in the air. So in the swing phase, there is no contact between foot and the ground, and there is some more term called as a double support. That means whenever we walk, we know that one of our foot is in contact with the ground and another one is in a swing phase, or it's not in contact with the ground. But there are almost about 22% of this whole gait cycle is a double support. That means both the limbs are in the ground. So that's the time when we call as a double support. So basically we only have two phases, that means stance phase and swing phase. In stance phase, our foot has some contact with the ground, and in swing phase there is no contact with the ground. All the time during the swing phase, our foot is in air to start with the next gait cycle. So in between this stance phase and swing phase, there is something called as a double support time, the time when both the limbs has some attachment or some contact with the ground. So these are the main two phases in the gait cycle, stance phase and the swing phase. So this is the whole picture of stance phase and swing phase. So till this part, it's called as stance phase. That means this is the right leg. So you can make out in this picture that in the first 5 pictures, the right leg has some contact with the ground, either the heel or the whole foot, the toes and the toes. So these are the 5 cycles, 5 sub phases in the stand phase, and next one is swing phase. Actually in swing phase we have 3: early swing, mid swing and late swing. So there are 3 sub phases in swing phase and 5 sub phases in stance phase. So the stance phase is initiated by the heel strike, where the heel of foot is in touch with the ground, and second one is foot flat, where the whole foot is in contact with the ground. Third one is mid stance. In mid stance, what happens? Same as like the foot flat, but the whole body weights are supported in the single leg. In food flat, what happens? Even though the whole food is striking to the ground, but the whole body weights are distributed to both the limbs because both the limbs are in touch with the ground. But when it comes to mid stance, only one leg is in contact with the ground. So all the forces or the whole weight of the body is in the one leg. And next one is heel off. In the heel off phase, what happens? The heel is getting off from the ground, but the foot are in contact with or the toes are in contact with the ground. Next one is toe off phase. In that phase, the toe, the last contacting surface of the foot to the ground, is also not, it's also getting off. Those are the 5 stages, 5 surfaces which we can found in stance phase. Next one is swing phase. So the swing phase is mainly initiated by early swing phase, mid swing and late swing. So the early swing phase is began with the toes leaves the ground and continues until mid swing, or the point at which the swinging extremity is directly under the body. And this phase is also known as initial swing or acceleration phase. So once the foot is getting off from the ground, next is the foot is getting accelerated to the next phase. So that's what we call as an early swing or an acceleratory phase or an initial swing phase. So this initial swing phase is lasts from this toe off to the mid swing, and the mid swing is start from the acceleration to the late swing or the deceleration stage. So now we are going to looking into detail how or what are the things which are happening in each of these sub phases of the gait cycle. So as I said, the stance phase is starting with the heel strike or the heel contact. So basically there are two different systems how we can define this or how we can divide these sub phases. First one is a traditional method. The second one is Rangelo's Amigos scale. So these are the two systems how we can define or how we can divide this sub phases of gait. So first one is traditional, that means it's a traditional one which was evolved a long time back, and second one is Rangelo's Amigo scale, Rangelo's Amigo system. It's a recent, much more recent one where they have made some changes from the traditional way of defining these surfaces in the gait. So we will be looking both traditional and Rangelo's Amigos together. So first one is heel contact or the heel strike. So the term heel contact or heel strike is defined by the traditional system, which is refers to the instant at which the heel of the leading extremity strike the ground. So in Rangelo's Amigos, we called as a initial contact, which refers to the instant the foot of the leading extremity strike the ground. The term initial contact will be used in referring to this event. So as the name suggests, heel strike or heel contact in the traditional scale and initial contact in Rangelo's Amigo system, both these terms define that our foot is getting some contact with the ground or the heel of the foot is getting contacted with the ground. Next one is foot flat. In normal gait occurs after initial contact at approximately 7% of gait cycle. It is the first instant during stand phase when the foot is on the ground. So as the name suggests, once we initiated, so this is the heel strike, that means there are some contact of the heel to the ground. Second one is foot flat, in which the whole foot is getting contacted with the ground. So it is almost happening at the 7 percentage of total gait cycle. Next is mid stance is the point at which the body weight is directly over the supporting lower extremity, usually about 30% of gait cycle. So this is what happening in mid stance. So apart from this foot flat, during mid stance, the whole body weight is supported on that single leg and it is happening at the 30% of gait cycle. Next is heel off is the point at which the heel of the reference extremity leaves the ground, usually about 40% of gait cycle. So this is the heel off stage. In heel off stage, the heel is getting off from the ground and still there are some contact to the ground by means of toes. So that's the heel off phase and this is usually happening by the 45% of gait cycle. 40 to 45% of gait cycle. Next is toe off, which happens in both traditional and in Rangelo's Amigos system, is the instant about which the toe of the foot leaves the ground, usually about 60% of the gait cycle. Next one is toe off. That means, as it names it, we are taking our toe from the ground. So after that, there is no contact with the ground. So toe off is usually happening by the 60% of the gait cycle. And there are some subphases to the stance phase. So as I said, there are two systems that we can define this gait patterns or the gait phases. So in traditional, what we are seeing in this, most of the terms are defined by the traditional system. But in this subphases, most of this are defined by this Rangelo's Amigos system. So first one is heel strike phase, begins with initial contact and ends with the foot flat and occupies only small percentage of this gait cycle. So this is the first subphase in the stand phase. So in that the heel strike, it's a heel strike phase which is begin with the initial contact and ends with the foot flat and occupies only small percentage of the gait cycle. Next is loading response, which is begin at the initial contact and ends when the contralateral extremity lift off the ground at the end of double support phase and occupies about 11% of the gait cycle. So next is loading response. That means the whole body weight is getting loaded to that one particular limb. So it mainly happens when the opposite limb is getting off from the ground or the double support time, when the double support time ends, that the time when this loading response happening. Next is mid stance phase, which is begins with foot flat at 7% of gait cycle and ends with the heel of about 40% of gait cycle. It begins when the contralateral extremity lift off the ground at about 11% of the gait cycle and ends when the body is directly over supporting limb and at about 30% of gait cycle. So mid stance means after this loading response, our whole body weight will be transmitted to that one particular limb which is in contact with the ground. So that's the time when we call it as a mid stance phase. Next is terminal stance. In terminal stance, it begins when the body is directly over the supporting limb at about 30% of the gait cycle and ends a point just before the initial contact of contralateral extremity at the 50% of gait cycle. So the terminal stance is something like after this mid stance, it's almost going to end the gait cycle. So that's the time when the terminal stance is happening. It is almost ends when the opposite limb is going for its initial contact. Next is push off phase, which is begin with the heel off at about 40% of the gait cycle and ends with toe off at about 60% of gait cycle. So that's a push off. That means we are pushing your foot from the ground. So it is actually occurring from the 40% of gait cycle and it ends at the 60% of gait cycle. Next is pre-swing. That means we are initiating with the swing phase. So the swing phase is the last 10% of stance phase, which begins with the initial contact of contralateral foot to the ground and it ends when the toe off. So that's the pre-swing phase. That means we are starting with the swing phase. Next is swing phase. So till now we have discussed about stance phase. What are the phases, subphases which can happen in stance phase? Next we are going to into swing phase. So the first subphase which is happening in swing phase is acceleration or the early swing phase, which is begins once the toe leaves the ground and continues until mid swing or the point at which the swinging extremity is directly under the body. So after this stance phase, we are taking off our foot and we are taking into mid swing, or we are going to start with another gait cycle. So this swing phase can be divided into three: acceleration, mid swing and deceleration. So as it suggests, acceleration means we are accelerating our limb to go for another gait cycle. So it starts from the toe off phase and it ends in the mid swing phase. So the mid swing phase is something what we can call the moving limb is in directly under the body. So that's the mid swing phase. So till that we call it as an acceleration or a early swing phase. Next is initial swing begins when the toe leaves the ground and continues until maximum knee flexion occurs. So that's the movement which is happening in knee joint. So whenever we try for walking, so we have to have a minimum amount of knee flexion. So this knee flexion during the whole knee flexion time, the gait is in initial swing phase or in the acceleration phase. Next is mid swing, which occurs approximately when the extremity passes directly beneath the body or from the end of acceleration to the beginning of deceleration phase. Mid swing comprises the period from maximum knee flexion until the tibia is in a vertical position. So that's about mid swing. So as we said, in acceleration phase, the knee is going for maximum flexion, and during the mid swing phase, the moving limb is actually coming under the body and it is going for a deceleration phase or the complete vertical position of tibia in knee joint. Next is deceleration or late swing phase, which occur after mid swing when limb is decelerating in preparation for a heel strike. Terminal swing includes the period from the point at which the tibia is in vertical position to the point just before the initial contact. So next is decelerating. That means we are going to start with another gait cycle, or we are going to start with the heel strike. So from this mid swing position, we are going to take our limb to the ground. So the time period between mid swing and the next heel strike is what we call as a deceleration phase.